Roy Cigarette. Well, tonight, the official opening of the 1964 season. And the Mets take on the Philadelphia Phillies here at Connie Mack Park in Philadelphia. And at this moment, the mayor of Philadelphia being introduced to throw out the first ball, the Honorable H.J. Tate. Well, a large crowd on hand in spite of the fact that it rained all through the afternoon and evening. And baseball is about to get underway. The starting lineups for the game tonight. For the New York Mets, it'll be Dick Smith playing at first base. He'll be the leadoff man. Batting second and playing second base, Amado Samuel. Batting third at third base, Ron Hunt. Batting fourth and playing left field and playing for the first time in 14 days, Frank Thomas. Batting fifth in center field, Jim Hickman. Batting sixth and catching, Bob Hawk Taylor. Batting seventh and playing in right field, Joe Christopher. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, Al Moran. And Al Jackson will bat ninth. He'll be the pitcher in the ball game. Al last year with a record of 13 wins and 17 losses. The top pitcher for the Mets in the win department. For the Philadelphia Phillies, who finished in fourth place last year, it will be Tony Taylor at second base as leadoff batter. Batting second in right field, Johnny Callison. Batting third and playing third base, rookie Richie Allen. Batting fourth and playing first base, veteran Roy Sievers. Batting fifth in center field, Tony Gonzalez. Batting sixth, the newcomer, playing left field, Danny Cater. Batting seventh and catching, Clay Dalrymple. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, Bob Wine. And the pitcher, Dennis Bennett, will bat ninth. Bennett with a record of 9 wins and 5 losses last year, in spite of the fact that he missed the first half of the season due to a fractured ankle. Few changes took place today in rosters. Veteran outfielder Duke Snyder was sold to the San Francisco Giants today, and the price was not announced, but it's believed to be somewhere around $30,000. Yesterday, the Mets placed Carlton Woolley on the 30-day disabled list due to his fractured jaw, and they also sent Mike Joyce to the Mets Farm Club at Buffalo, along with Grover Powell and Clarence Coleman. Mets added to their roster left-handed pitchers Steve Dillon and Ron Luck. Dillon was 4-6 at Buffalo last year. Luck was 18-8 while pitching for Auburn in his first professional year. And the Mets also added to the roster, from the Buffalo roster, outfielder Larry Elliott. The Phillies got down to their 28-man limit last evening by optioning pitcher Paul Brown of Little Rock on 24-hour recall and placing veteran Cal McGlish on the disabled list. So both clubs down to their player limit, and right now it's Casey Stengel and Gene Mock going over the grounds rules right at home plate with the umpires. It'll be Frank Sikori behind home plate, Ken Burkhardt at first base, Ed Sudol at second base, and Paul Pryor, the umpire, at third. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem. the 1964 season. The Phillies have been the resurgence of the National League. 3 years ago, they finished in last place. A year after that, they moved up to 7th place. A year after that, to 4th place, and now they're being tabbed by many experts as the pennant winner in the National League. And as this game is about to unfold, it's really a great pleasure to once again work with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson, and here's Bob. Thank you very much, Ralph, and hi, everybody. The enthusiasm riding high here at Johnny Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. 24-year-old Dick Smith, right-hand batter and Mets first baseman, waiting for the first pitch of the season for the New York Mets, and it's outside, ball one. Fans sale of some 25,000 for tonight's game, which has been plagued by rainy weather. Rain letting up. The game is being played under a very light drizzle. And confident Dennis Bennett, tall left-hander from Oregon, winds and pitches. The ball is popped up. A foul pop-up out. Roy Sievers is under it near the coaching line, and he has it. One away and nobody on here in the first inning of the first game of 1964 for the Phillies and the Mets. Now with one out and nobody on, that brings up Sammy Samuel. Sammy in the early part of spring training was alternating at shortstop with Al Moran. When Frank Thomas was sidelined with an injury and Pumpsy Green failed to gain sharpness, Casey then had to revise his infield in the final 10 days of spring training. And Samuel opens the season at second base. A fly ball hit high in the air toward left field, not too deep. Danny Cater, the left fielder, in 2 strides, makes the catch 2 down. Mack with a ball club that many people think will make a serious run at the defending champion Dodgers, starting 2 rookies in his lineup tonight. Richie Allen at third and Danny Cater in left field. Danny Cater will platoon with Wes Covington. Covington going against the right-handers and Danny Cater against the left-handers. Tony Gonzalez, who played 205 consecutive games without an error, is in center field. And around and right, the player that Mack describes as the complete ball player, Johnny Callison. Pitch now to Ron Hunt. A squibbler hit down the first baseline, and it's a foul ball. Foul ball. Clay Dalrymple made a head-first dive. He was trying to smother it before it went foul. And the crowd here at Connie Mack gives him a good hand for his hustle. A surging ball club, and manager Gene Mack feels that his team is capable of winning from 95 to 100 ball games this year and being very, very much in the pennant fight down to the final day. The Phillies will come into Shea Stadium for a 2-game series during the 7-game homestand. They follow Pittsburgh into Shea Stadium. The Pirates open the beautiful stadium on Friday. For the New York Mets, Wes Westrom on the coaching lines at first and Don Hefner at third. A check swing router hit toward the middle, and it's going to go through for a base hit. Ron takes the turn at first, and he's on. He actually tried to hold up on the swing, but he placed the ball perfectly. It wasn't hit hard, but it was hit right over the bag at second and into center field. Well, as the players in the bench say, there goes the no-hitter. That's a good omen for Ron Hunt, Ralph, that he's going to get not only those hard hits, line drive type base hits, but also a few of the other varieties.
Well, a ball player always likes to start out that way because he knows that he's got a little bit of luck at the start.
Now Frank Thomas playing left field and batting cleanup for the New York Mets. Frank took batting practice yesterday, the first time in 2 weeks. A line drive hit toward left center field, running hard is Danny Cater, and Cater makes the catch on the run. Thomas hitting the first pitch, a line drive to left center, and running to his glove side. Danny Cater made a one-hand catch running at full speed. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on. The score in the middle of the first, the New York Mets nothing, and the Philadelphia Phillies coming to bat. Now let's listen to the sound of the Rheingold beat. coming up to hit against Al Jackson in the last half of inning number 1. Leading off for Philadelphia will be second baseman Tony Taylor. Last year, Tony hit .281. With 5 home runs and 49 runs batted in. One of the better second basemen in the National League. Taylor with a back foot planted right on the restraining line stands well back from the plate. Jackson swings into his windup. Now the pitch on the way, and it's over for a call, strike 1. Umpiring behind the plate tonight, former National Leaguer Frank Sikori. Former National League pitcher Ken Burkhardt is at first, Ed Sudol umpiring at second, and Paul Pryor calling the plays around third. Now Jackson takes his sign, winds and pitches. Ground ball hammered foul down the third baseline by Tony Taylor. For the New York Mets, with the left-hander Dennis Bennett facing them, Casey has Dick Smith playing first. Sammy Samuel is at second, Al Moran at short, and Ron Hunt playing third. In the outfield, Frank Thomas in left. Jim Hickman is in center, and around in right field, Joe Christopher. Jackson pitching, and Bob Hawk Taylor behind the plate. Jackson with a 2-strike count on Tony Taylor, winds and pitches. In the third, he tried to get him to go for a bad pitch. He was out in front with a 2-strike count. So he deliberately threw him a 55-foot curveball in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Peanuts Lowry coaching at first for Philadelphia. And Foghorn Myatt on the lines at third. The 1-2 delivery. A little under the knees, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Night game tomorrow night, Thursday, a day off the official dedication ceremonies. Then on Friday, the gates will be open at 11 a.m. for the opening of Shea Stadium. Multicolored $25 million stadium that is really a beauty. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Jackson with that good sinker strikes out Tony Taylor. He turned that one over. One away and nobody on. Coming on to hit will be Johnny Callison, the right fielder. Callison, the complete ball player. Only 25 years old. Last year at 284, but he had 26 home runs. He knocked in 78 runs. And he led the National League outfielders in assists. Now Jackson winding the pitch to Callison. He bluffed it a bunt. Didn't offer. Outside and low. 1 ball and no strikes. They have real enthusiasm going for the Phillies this year in the city of brotherly love. Many of the best-known sports columnists around the country have been tabbing the Phillies. Certainly, if not to win the pennant, to be right in the thick of it. Low and outside, 2 balls and no strikes to Johnny Callison. Phillies have come from a dead last in a 3-year period to challenge for the pennant. They had quite a finish last year. They won 40 of their last 60 ball games. Now Jackson working behind on the hitter, the 2-0 delivery. Strike, a fastball in the outside corner, 2 balls and 1 strike. Little Alvin Jackson, quite a competitor. Born in Waco, Texas, now makes his home in Houston. Last year accounted for 13 of the 51 victories by the New York Mets. Now Bob Taylor, crossed behind the plate, sets up the target. Pitching 2-1. Breaking ball outside and low, and the count 3-1. Crowd here on opening night, despite the fact that they had to brave the elements, so to speak, are riding with every pitch. One away, nobody on, no score. We're in the last half of the first inning. Now Jackson, behind on the count 3-1, delivers to Callison. All 4 is outside and low, and Callison is on. Now here's the hand for the sensational in 25 runs in only 24 ball games. Allen, a right-hand batter with a lot of power. Pitch thrown by Jackson. Inside and low. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Rookie Richie Allen, who has chased Don Hook off the third base job. And the Phillies now feel that they'll be all set at third base for the first time since the peak years of Pudd'nhead Jones. Now Jackson working off the stretch, delivers. Fastball a little high, 2 balls and no strikes. Alvin fighting his control a little bit here in the opening inning. Let's have their double play combination of Samuel and Moran straight away looking for 2. The outfield just about straight away against Richie Allen. Now Jackson into the slow stretch, comes to the stop. The 2-0 delivery way outside. It's ball 3. Now Jackson goes behind 3-0 on Richie Allen. Allen has a solid background of 4 years in minor league baseball. Last year he had 33 home runs. He knocked 97 runs in. The count on Richie Allen. Roy Sievers, the on-deck hitter. Here's the pitch on the way. Ball 4. He walked him on forfeit. Now Jackson missing with his pitches so far here in the opening inning, and now the Phillies have Fred working with runners on first and second, 1 out, and Roy Sievers the batter. Jackson hoping to use that good sinker to make him hit it on the ground. Here's the pitch on the way. A drive is deep to left center field, way out toward the wall, and this one is going gone. A home run. For veteran Roy Sievers, who homers his first time at bat in 1964 with 2 men on base. And the Phillies lead the New York Mets 3-0. Roy tagged that one, hit it deep to left center field, and it drops into the lower left center field grandstand. Now Tony Gonzalez is the hitter. Jackson's pitch on the way, and he is hit by the pitch. Tony Gonzalez hit on the back of the left hand by the pitch by Al Jackson, drops down to first base. Jackson trying to conquer his control problems here in the opening inning. He walked 2 men, Callison and Allen. Got behind on Roy Sievers and came in too good to prevent walking him. And Roy met the pitch just right. Moment taken for the trainer to have a look at the back of the left hand of Tony Gonzalez. He is all right and goes down to first base. Now Ron Hunt moving over for a brief get-together with Al Jackson. Now the hitter is rookie left fielder Danny Cater. Danny, like Richie Allen, has had 4 solid years in the minor leagues and now is going to platoon with Wes Covington in left field. Swing and a miss on a breaking pitch in on him. Last year at Little Rock in the International League, Danny Cater hit .291. Warm-up action for New York, and right-hander Jay Hook will start getting ready. A grounder hit down to third on Hampton. To Samuel, there's one. On to first. Double play, and the side is out. Now the hand for Sievers as he takes the field. 3 runs, 1 hit. No errors, none left on. Now, at the end of 1 inning here in Philadelphia, the score, the Phillies
Tomorrow night, the Mets and the Phillies. Jim Bunning against Tracy Stoller. Thursday, the dedication ceremonies, a day off for the New York Mets. Friday, the opening of beautiful Shea Stadium in Flushing. The opening of the $25 million, 55,000 feet, beautiful ballpark. On hand for the ceremonies, opening day Friday, will be 9 members of Baseball's Hall of Fame, including the 4 newest members to be inducted on July 27th at Cooperstown, New York this summer. They will be Red Faber, Burley Grimes, Old Aches and Pains, Luke Appling, and Heine Manuch. Hall of Famers, former Dodgers and Giants will be there. The Old Flash, Frankie Frisch, Max Carey and Zach Wheat, King Carl Hubble, and a great 400 hitter, player, and manager Bill Terry. We want to remind you the gates will be open at 11 a.m. and the ceremonies will start at 1:30. Musical entertainment before the game by Guy Lombardo, the national anthem to be sung by Robert Merrill. Right here, we pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
You're tuned to 810 on your dial, WGY Schenectady.
Now we go to the top of the second and all set to detail every exciting play for you. A great ball player, a fine broadcaster, Ralph Kiner.
Thank you, Bob, and hi there, everybody. First man up for the Mets will be Jim Hickman. They trail by 3, and the pitcher is Dennis Bennett for the Phillies. Then the first pitch to Hickman is bounced to third. Richie Allen, with his first chance this year, comes up with it, goes to first base, and gets his man. So rookie Richie Allen handles his first chance in the major leagues at third base. And good style to get the first man out here in the top of the second. That'll bring up the Mets' next batter, Bob Taylor. Bob started out in spring training as the actual property of the Milwaukee Braves. The Mets had a chance to buy him on a conditional purchase. They exercised that right in a hurry when they found out that Bob could do the job behind the plate. Bob also had a good spring at the bat. He's a right-hand batter. He takes a curve low, ball 1. After Taylor, it'll be Joe Christopher as the Mets trail 3-0. 3-run home run by Roy Sievers, giving the Phillies an early lead. Now Dennis Bennett back again. And he throws a fastball that's fouled down in the dirt. Strike 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bennett with a new ball in play. The home plate umpire in this game is Frank Sikori, the umpire-in-chief of this crew. Ken Burkhardt is at first base. Ed Sudol at second base. And Paul Pryor at third. Now at 1-1, the pitch to Taylor is bounced foul again. This one caught him on the front foot. And Bob now is walking around, limping just a little bit. He's okay. 1 ball, 2 strikes. George Altman also on the injured list. George with an injured shoulder, not seeing action here tonight. Frank Thomas has not played a ball game for 2 weeks. Is playing his first one tonight in left field. His first time up, he was robbed of an extra base hit. Mets almost scored in the first. Now at 1-2, the pitch back is taken outside. A fastball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bennett thought he had that one on the outside corner. Bennett throws hard, has good stuff. And he is quite a character, as Bob has pointed out. He's done just about everything in his life. And it's pretty young. There's a pitch off the glove, way high and outside, ball 3. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Bennett's only 24, but he's fought forest fires. He's ridden Brahma bulls and rodeos, and he's actually stolen eggs from eagles' nests. That's pretty high right there. I bet the eagle didn't appreciate that. I'll tell you, I don't know what you do with them after you get them. How do you get them down out of the mountain? I don't know. I don't have that much courage to try, because that eagle looks pretty tough to me. Well, this fellow's mighty tough on the mound. He got 70,000 to sign, and he's, for the first time in his major league career, starting the season in the major leagues. He was brought up 2 years ago in the middle of the season. Last year, he didn't get a chance to start because of a broken ankle. He's pitching with a 1.5-inch screw in his ankle at this time. There's the next pitch, a check in the swing. Ball is off with a bat, a foul ball. So the count holds at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Resides in Eureka, California. He was born in Oakland. He's a big fellow, 6'3", 197 pounds. Last year, 9-5, he struck out 82 in 119 innings. There's a line shot to left, right down the line, and it's a foul ball. Ball curving foul by about 4 or 5 feet. And Bob Taylor will have to come on back to home plate. Count holds at 3-2. That ball was really hit well. Bob in spring training showed a lot of good strong power. He led the club in doubles hit during the spring, and for a fellow who has not seen a whole lot of major league action, he has shown quite a bit of promise. He actually took over and won the #1 catching spot. But he'll be sharing that position with Jesse Gonder, a left-hand batter. So Bennett now again at 3-2. He gets a sign from Dalrymple. Here's the pitch. And he misses ball 4, and the Mets have a runner at first base with 1 out here in the top of the second. Phillies lead 3-0 on Roy Sievers' 3-run home run. Second base runner for the Mets. The first one was Ron Hunt, who picked up a single his first time up this year. That'll bring up Joe Christopher, right-hand batting right fielder. Joe with good speed stands deep in the batter's box. The on-deck batter is Al Moran. Bennett now sets, looks at first, comes home. And a slow curve breaks in there, called strike. 2 other games completed in the National League. Chicago defeated Pittsburgh 8-4 with 4 runs in the top of the 10th. Winning pitcher was Jackson, and the losing pitcher in that one was Friend. Milwaukee lost to San Francisco 8-4. Marischal winning that one. There's a shot to center. If it stays down, he's got a chance to get to it. He caught it. Did so well that it stayed up in the air long enough, and Tony Gonzalez, a good center fielder, got into it. In fact, he got to it rather quickly and had to one-hand it. Back to first base goes Bob Taylor, and now with 2 men out, Al Moran will come to bat. Al, right-hand batting shortstop, did not play too much this spring, as manager Casey Stengel wanted to see how Sammy Samuel would look at shortstop. Samuel was moved to second to make room for Moran. Casey looking for more glove. 3-0 game Phillies. And the first pitch is a curve in there. Strike 1. Taylor with a short lead at first base, being held there by Roy Sievers. With his familiar number 40, waiting for Dennis Bennett. And here's the pitch. The curve again. This one missing low and inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike. 2 men out, top of the second. Phillies lead 3-0. And the next pitch is foul down in the dirt. And the count moves along to 1-2. Phillies finished strong last year, as they did the year before. They won 40 of their last 60 ball games, a pace about equal to that of the Dodgers. Dodgers the winner last year, and this year they say any one of 6 could do it. It's a tight race. Now at 1-2, a swing and a foul tip. Count holds at 1-2. Every town you go to, being jabbed as a potential winner in cities like Philadelphia, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Cincinnati, Milwaukee. Now Sievers has moved behind Taylor at first, and the pitch is outside. It's ball 2. Good fastball by Bennett, but missing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bennett throws hard. Has good stuff. Sets again. Here's the 2-2 delivery. Fouled back on the screen. Out of play. Bennett had that fastball right on by Al Moran. And the count again holds. 2 strikes. With 2 men out, top of the second, the Phillies lead 3-0. And the next pitch is bounced in the dirt. He gets away from Dalrymple. Taylor moves on down to second base, and he holds there. Ball bouncing in the dirt. It was a wild pitch. And the Mets have a base runner now at second base with a count of 3-2 on Al Moran. Well, Bob, it seems a little bit different now. We do have official scores. All during the spring, we more or less had to do our own work because in most of the parks in spring training, you're not too close to the scoring area.
And for the official scores, now that the regular season is underway, not that they would score any differently, but the pressure naturally is on more.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Bennett back to Al Moran. And a slow curve is outside. It's ball 4. Moran was hesitant about going to first base. He must have lost the count. So the Mets now have runners at first and second as a result of 2 walks by Dennis Bennett. And the batter will be Al Jackson, left-hand batting pitcher. Jackson, know him as a good hitter for a pitcher. Good battler, but he's got a job here against the strong left-hander Dennis Bennett. Phillies on a 3-run home run have the lead 3-0 here in the second with 2 men out. Jackson deep in the box. The first pitch, a curve hit right off the end of the bat, foul. Jackson barely reaching that one. Pitch was outside. Strike 1. For the Mets, Wes Westrom coaching at first base. Don Hefner coaching at third. Mel Harder, the pitching coach, and utility coach is Sheriff Robertson. A little bit of rain falling again now, a little more than at the start of the game. Next pitch to Jackson, hit down the left field line, near the foul line. Coming over is the left fielder, Danny Cater. He is just in the foul territory, and he makes the catch. In the inning for the Mets, no runs, there were no hits, no errors. 2 walks, 2 men left on. And the score at the end of 1.5. The Phillies 3, the Mets nothing. The bottom half of the second inning, the Phillies lead 3-0. And they are now coming up for the second time in this 1964 season. It'll be Clay Dalrymple, Bob Wine, and Dennis Bennett against Al Jackson. Al in the first inning struck out his first man, Tony Taylor. Then pitching carefully to Johnny Callison, he walked him on a 3-2 pitch. Richie Allen, the next batter, was also walked, putting runners at first and second. And Roy Sievers then homered to left field to give the Phillies their lead 3-0. Dalrymple, a left-hand batter, and the first pitch to him. His pitch is lined in the right field. Christopher coming on, hesitates, dives, drops the ball. Dalrymple now hesitating as he holds at first base. Christopher started in, stopped, and then started again. And at the last minute, he dove for the ball, couldn't keep it in his glove, and it'll go as a base hit. The hesitation at the start costing Christopher a chance to catch the ball a little bit higher in the air. So Dalrymple has a base hit. That is his second hit in the ball game for the Phillies. They lead 3-0, and the batter is Bob Wine, the shortstop. That ball was exceptionally well hit, a line shot that hung up there just about enough, but not quite for Joe. First pitch to Wine, a right-hand batter, is low. It's ball 1. Wine with a wide-open stance. Now manager Casey Stengel is moving Christopher in and a little bit over. Outfield playing Wine as a full hitter. Bob was being very seriously in his minor league career and has never really hit too much in the majors. Pitch back to him, bounce foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies have the lead, 3-0. They have 3 runs on 2 hits. The Mets have no runs and 1 base hit. Jackson taking the signs from Bob Hawk Taylor. Now he said, flicks it first. Here's the pitch. And it's bounced foul right on by George Myers, the new third base coach for the Phillies. And you'll have no trouble hearing George around the lake. He's got one of those foghorn voices that can be heard forever. Coaching at first base, Harry Lowry, better known as Peanuts Lowry. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Jackson now back again. And this one's hit foul, slowly down toward the third base coaching box. Stands here at Connie Mack Stadium cut in toward the foul lines after they go by the dugout. So any ball hit over toward the coaching box area and rolling far enough would roll right to the stands. Down in the right and left field corners, about 10 feet of running room before you run into the facade of the stands that face there where they jut into the area near the playing field. Difficult corners to play for an outfielder. Throw to first base, a little bit wide of target, no chance for a play. It's 329 down the right field line, 334 down the left, 447 in center field. Wind is blowing toward left field right here tonight. Pitch is way inside. It gets off the glove of Taylor. And Dalrymple will move into second base, and that should be a pass. Should go as a wild pitch. Ball almost hit Bob Wine as he danced out of the way. It's a wild pitch. Recorded against Al Jackson. Even up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. No one out. Bottom half of the second inning. The Phillies lead 3-0. Now Jackson at 2-2. And there's a drive into center field. No chance for Hickman to get to it. He hauls it in on 1 hop. Coming around to third base is Dalrymple. Now a throw on home, but not in time. Dalrymple sliding in as the throw came in from Moran, relayed in from Jim Hickman. Long single for Bobby Wine, and Wine held up at first base on the throw to the plate. So the Phillies have increased their lead to 4-0 with no one out here in the bottom half of the second. And the batter is Dennis Bennett. With 4 runs on 3 hits, and Jay Hook once again gets up in the bullpen for the Mets. Dennis Bennett getting the hand as he comes into the batter's box. Left-hand batting pitcher. Mets looking for a possible bunt. And the pitch is bunted, but bunted foul. Strike 1. Playing at third base, charging quickly, and also Dick Smith at first base charging. And the next pitch back is outside, ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 strike, 1 ball. Again, Jackson sets. And the 1-1 pitch is bunted at, and there's a throw on down to second as Wine goes on in and he steals it. That pitch was way inside. And now the side is given by Frank DeGory that he did not bunt at it. He was trying to get out of the way. It appeared to be that he did bunt at it. And by the time Taylor had a chance to come out and throw it, Wine, who was going all the way when the first baseman broke in, and who had a big jump, moved into second base with a stolen base. So now a runner at second base with no one out, and the count is 2 balls and 1 strike on Dennis Bennett. And there's a ball hit on the ground to deep second base, picked up by Samuel. Jackson has to cover it first as Dick Smith had moved off the bag to make a play. He does, and there's the first out of the inning. On the play, Wine moves over to third base. So Dennis Bennett helps his cause by moving the runner over to third base. And with 1 out, it'll be Tony Taylor batting for the second time. Taylor struck out swinging his first time up. He's a right-hand batter playing at second base. Samuel covered good ground in getting to that ball. It was well hit. Dick Smith had moved over to get to it and couldn't get to it by the time it had gone by. Infield being pulled in to try and cut off the run. And now the first pitch to Taylor in the dirt, but blocked nicely by Bob Taylor. And that saved a run. That pitch was down in the dirt, and Bob Taylor had to move to his left and block it with his glove. It bounced about 10 feet away, but it saved a run. 1 ball, no strike. Now Jackson into the windup. And his pitch to Tony Taylor. Up too high. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strike. The game, Al did not appear a bit nervous. He was joking and talking with all the players. There was no batting practice because of the rain conditions. Sharp on the field all day long. Now 2-2. 2-0. The pitch is hit down to third. A tough chance for Hunt. He comes up with it, goes on home, and now they got Twine in a rundown. There's a throw back to Hunt. He's got him now playing second base, but not in time. Good heads-up play by Tony Taylor getting to second base. On the run back, if you're scoring the play, went 5-2-5, and Bobby Warren is erased off the third base bag. Tony Taylor on the fielder's choice, moving on down to second. And now with 2 men out, the batter will be Johnny Callison, who walked his first time up. Good play on a tough chance by Ron Hunt at third base. Scored the first run of the ball game as he scored ahead of Richie Allen on Roy Sievers' 3-run home run. Left-hand batter. And he hits the first pitch hard down to first base, taken on the second hop by Dick Smith. He goes to the bag to make the play himself, and that retires the side. And Al Jackson pitches out of a jam after the Phillies pick up 1 run on 2 hits. There were no errors. 1 man was left on base. And the score at the end of 2, the Phillies 4, the Mets nothing. Well, the Mets have their same ticket locations as last year with the addition of 1 more. The Mets have added Macy's out at Huntington and Long Island. And you can purchase tickets for all Mets games there during the store hours. Their usual ticket offices open, the ones they've used in the past. Grand Central Station, the ticket office located there. At the foot of the 42nd Street and Vanderbilt Avenue ramp, they also have a ticket office located at Pennsylvania Station in the Long Island waiting room. And, of course, their ticket office right at the ballpark at Shea Stadium, located at 126th Street and Roosevelt Avenue. In addition, reservations for box and reserve seats may be made at all Howard Clothes stores during their regular store hours. And you may order by mail for any of the Mets home games as far in advance as you would like. Well, while we wait for the start of the third, we'll now pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
This is the voice of the Mets in the great Northeast, WGY Schenectady.
Ralph Kiner along with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The first game of the 1964 season. Phillies lead 4-0 as we move to the top of the third. And the first man up for the Mets will be Dick Smith. And he takes a bouncing curve for ball 1. Dick batting for the second time against Dennis Bennett. His first time up, he fouled out to Roy Sievers. Bennett has given up 1 hit and walked 2 batters. The Mets have had 3 base runners. Left-hander taking the sign, now comes back, and the next pitch is hit foul down the right field line. Sievers giving a short chase and then giving up as the ball goes too far out of his way. No chance for a catch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dick Smith on that foul ball broke his bat, and he's looking for another. At the opening of this season have 3 regular first basemen. Tim Harkness, Dick Smith, and Eddie Cranepool. Next pitch is a line shot by the third baseman, hit by Dick Smith, a base hit. That ball was by Richie Allen before he could get his glove down, and Smith has his first 1964 base hit. Base hit. That ball was by Richie Allen before he could get his glove down, and Smith has his first 1964 base hit. Mets now with a runner at first base and no one out, and Sammy Samuel coming up. Sammy, a right-hand batter, flied out to left field his first time up. Dennis Bennett on top and to the plate. And his first pitch to Samuel is inside, ball one. Phillies 4, Mets nothing, with no one out, top of the third. Game being played in a very light drizzle. Now Bennett back again, and his curve is inside, ball two. The fast man at first base being held on by Roy Sievers. Pretty slow running at this point, although the infield looks pretty dry. Some spots have been patched up. Next pitch back is inside, ball three. So Bennett having some difficulty with his control. Count 3-0 to Sammy Samuel. The fill area over on the second base side where they had to bring in Phil to take care of some of the mud. Also a lot of it behind third. 3-0 pitch, inside corner, strike one. Just catching inside, 3 balls, 1 strike. Ron Hunt's the on-deck batter to be followed by Frank Thomas. Samuel batting in the second spot in the batting order tonight. Now 3-1. A throw to first base, but Smith gets back with no play. And the 3-1 pitch. Hit over the top of the third baseman's head down the left field line, a base hit. Coming in strongly is Danny Cater. He picks it up, and Smith has to hold it second. So 2 hits in a row for the Mets. Dick Smith and Sammy Samuel. And that brings up Ron Hunt with no one out here in the top of the third. Are all even at 3 apiece, but the Phillies lead 4-0, mainly as a result of Roy Sievers' 3-run home run. And here comes Gene Mack out to make his first appearance of the 1964 season. Bob, I bet he'll make about 1,463 more trips to the mound before this year's over.
Gene Mack, without a doubt, probably makes more trips out to check with his pitcher than any manager I know of in the National League. Mack has brought this ball club from a long way back in a short time.
Gene hustled right out there and hustled right back. Not too much delay. Former infielder in the Major League, started his career with Brooklyn. Now the pitch to Ron Hunt. It's popped up in foul territory down the right field line. The ball over by the corner area, and it is out of play. And once again, as we pointed out earlier, a tough right field corner because Callison coming over had to worry about running into the wall that is about 10 feet away from the foul line. So Ron Hunt gets a long strike, and the count is 0-1. Johnny Clipstein is warming up in the bullpen now for the Philadelphia Phillies. John last year had a brilliant year in middle relief for Philadelphia. Their number 1 relief pitcher is Jack Bolsham. Now the 1 strike pitch. Hits hard, sharply. A great play by Taylor. The throw to the shortstop in time. The first base is fine. What a play! That line shot at second base and then throwing to the shortstop line covering at second, and he took a fast throw on one hop, turned it into a double play with a fine throw to first, and Ron Hunt drove into first base on his belly. So a sure base hit turned into a double play on a great play by Tony Taylor, and now you know why he's one of the best. Moving over from second to third on the play is Dick Smith, but two men are out now, and Frank Thomas steps in. First pitch to Frank, a changeup outside, ball one. Well, they'll be talking about that play for a long time. That ball looked like a surefire base hit, but Tony Taylor with a great diving stop turned in so far the play of the day. Now Dennis Bennett back to Thomas, and he takes low, ball two. Frank Thomas had been robbed of a base hit by the left fielder, which was the best play up to this one, when Danny Cater made a great one-handed catch on him in left center field. Now the 2-0 pitch, swung on a miss, strike one. Two balls and one strike. Bennett taking the sign from Clay Dalrymple. Now the windup and the pitch. Curveball outside. Ball three. 3 balls and 1 strike to Frank. The on-deck batter is Jim Hickman. Bennett shaking off the first sign. Now the second and the third. Here's the windup and the pitch. Fastball hit on the ground down to second base. Tony Taylor has an easy chance in this one. And that's retired the try. No runs, 2 hits. No errors, 1 man left. And a great double play by Tony Taylor. And a score at the end of 2.5 innings. The Phillies 4, the Mets nothing. You know, that World's Fair is really going to be something. It opens April 22nd, and I'm sure everyone along the Rheingold beat will get out to see it. Certainly know I will. Right next to Shea Stadium, as you know. I can't think of a better way to spend the day than a couple of hours at the fair and then off to see the Mets. And whenever you're at the fair, don't miss Rheingold's little old New York, an authentic corner of New York City as it was back in 1904. The ideal place to meet your friends. At Rheingold's little old New York, you'll find a cool village green. Great for relaxing after you've seen the sights. There's a Victorian-style restaurant, the Rheingold Tavern, sidewalk cafe, band concerts on the green, fine food, and plenty of refreshing Rheingold extra dry. As good to your taste as it is to your thirst. Your favorite team, the World's Fair, your favorite beer, and it's all right here, right along the Rheingold beach. It's the bottom half of the third, the Phillies batting as they lead 4-0. And the first man up for the Phillies will be the third baseman, Richie Allen. Richie walked his first time up for the Phillies this year. Right-hand batting third baseman. And he's the fellow that has to carry a big load because they're counting on him. And he looks high for ball one. Al Jackson, working for the Mets, has given up 4 runs, allowed 3 hits, struck out 1, and walked 2. The big damage, in case you just tuned in, a 3-run home run by Roy Sievers in the first. For Roy, it was his first home run of the year. And the next pitch is hit in the air to center field of base hit. Richie Allen going around, now holding as the ball dives in shallow center. And Allen has his first hit of the 1964 season. And that brings up Roy Sievers. His first time up his 311th Major League home run. Right-hand batting, first baseman Al Jackson now with his first pitch. And Sievers takes it low, ball 1. If you recall, last year it was Roy Sievers who damaged Roger Craigwell twice beating Gregg with home runs in the 9th inning. Roy has been an outstanding right-hand batter in the American League and now in the National, finding some trouble. Next pitch is outside, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Roy had 19 home runs last year, 21 the year before in the National League. And he fouls the next pitch out of play, strike 1. His best year was back in 1957. He hit 42 home runs in the old Washington ballpark, which was big. And the next pitch to Sievers hit foul, this time down the left field side. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Roy had 271 home runs in the American League. Now 2-2. Al Jackson with a runner at first base. Comes back again. And his pitch is low. Ball 3. Full count now on Roy Sievers. No one out. And Richie Allen checking with his coach at first base, Venus Lowry, as to whether or not they'll have him going. Jay Hook again throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. 4-0 lead for Philadelphia. Jackson looks, goes to first base. Allen back in time. Now Al sets again. And comes to the plate. The runner goes. The ball is bounced back to the mound. A quick throw to second is not in time, but the return to first base is in time. Richie Allen running on the pitch beat the throw to second base, even though Al Jackson got it there in a hurry. And Samuel, who was covering, had plenty of time to go to first base. And Samuel now is discussing with Ed Sudol the fact that he thought he might have had his man at second on the forced play. But it goes the other way. The Mets now have 1 out. And the batter is Tony Gonzalez, who was hit by a pitch ball his first time up. Gonzalez, the left-hand batter. And his first pitch is swung on and missed strike 1. Gonzalez swinging late. He has great power to left field. 1962, when he hit 20 home runs, he hit 15 of the home runs to the left field side of center. Last year he dropped way off in the home run department, only getting 4, but he batted .306. Now Jackson comes back with a curve. It's fouled down in the dirt and back toward the screen back of home plate. Strike 2. So far giving up 4 runs and 4 hits in 2 1/3 innings. Now he sets again. And then decides to step off the pitching rubber. Al Moran had broken in back of the runner at second base. Jackson decided to give him some time to get back to his position. Now the pitch taken inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch was high inside, not too close. Allen, the base runner at second base. Taking a short lead. Jackson now with the sign. And the pitch. Just on the outside corner, got him looking. Called strike 3. Jackson picking up his second strikeout. And now with 2 out, he'll pitch to Denny Cater. making his first Major League appearance, hit into a double play his first time up. He's a right-hand batting left fielder. Don't forget to visit Rheingold's Little Old New York at the World's Fair opening April 22nd. A great place to relax and meet your friends. Rheingold's Little Old New York at the fair. Two men out. Bottom half of the third. The Phillies lead 4-0. And Jackson now with his first pitch to Cater. And it's a curve in there. Strike one. One strike count. Cater stands deep in the box, a right-hand batter with good power. And a let-up is hit on the ground to the shortstop, Moran. He digs it out, throws low in the dirt. It's taken by Dick Smith, and he is out. A good play by Dick Smith on the low throw. That retires the side. In the inning for the Phillies, no runs on one hit. There were no errors. One man was left on base. And the score at the end of three, the Phillies 4, the Mets nothing. 3 innings in now, and once again to bring you the play-by-play from Philadelphia, Bob Murphy.
Okay, Ralph, in the 4th inning, Jim Hickman comes up against Dennis Bennett. Dennis Bennett, hard-throwing young left-hander over the first 3 innings, has lived somewhat of a charmed life. The Mets have been hitting the ball hard. The Phillies have backed up his pitching with some superb defense. A towering pop-up down the third base line. The third baseman, Richie Allen, is under it waiting. He makes the catch in fair territory. One away, nobody on, top of the 4th inning, and that'll bring up Bob Taylor. Bob narrowly missed a base hit his first time up with a drive that went foul by about a foot deep down the left field line. He then drew a walk and was later stranded on second. In the opening inning, Thomas had a line drive to the outfield caught. In the second inning, Joe Christopher had a liner to center that was caught. And Ron Hunt absolutely robbed of a base hit on a tremendous double play turned by Tony Taylor. One away, nobody on as Bob Taylor comes up now against Dennis Bennett. Tomorrow night it'll be Jim Bunning making his first National League start against Tracy Stallard of the New York Mets. Friday afternoon at Shea Stadium, it'll be veteran Bob Friend for the Pirates against Jack Fisher of the New York Mets. Outside and high, 1 ball and no strikes. Now Bennett looks into Clay Dalrymple to pick up his sign. Both the infield and outfield around toward left. A swing and a miss on a breaking pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Game has paced along rather slow because Al Jackson has not had his good control tonight, and as a result has worked very deliberately trying to pitch himself into the ball game. The 1-1 delivery, fastball over for a strike. He really hummed that one on the inside corner, 1-2. Count. Foul ball on the ground coming right straight back. No play, and the count remains the same. Philadelphia, 4 runs on 4 hits. New York, no runs on 3 hits. We're in the 4th inning. Philadelphia jumped off to a 3-run lead in the opening inning on a 3-run homer by veteran Roy Sievers. For Roy, the 311th home run of his career. Pitching 1-2. Fly ball hit deep to right field. Back goes Callison. Near the warning track, he's under it, and he makes the catch. So 2 up and 2 set aside by Dennis Bennett, and that will bring up the right fielder, Joe Christopher. Joe hit the ball hard, a liner that stayed up and was caught by center fielder Tony Gonzalez in the second inning. Actually, he hit the ball so hard that after it got out toward the outfield, it started to rise, and that made it stay up so that Gonzalez had a play on the ball. Joe hitting right-handed against the southpaw Dennis Bennett. Down around the shoe tops, inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Last year, New York played Philadelphia very well. The Mets won 8 and the Phillies won 10. Each team had the upper hand in their own ballpark. Right here at Connie Mack Stadium, the Phillies won 7 of 9. Now Christopher lays off and the Hummer is high, 2 balls and no strikes. And this being the opening of the season for the New York Mets, they are not without their fans here in Philadelphia. And we have seen several banners scattered around the ballpark boosting the Mets. Pitch is over at the knees, taken for a strike, 2-1 to Joe Christopher. For those of you who joined us late in other games today in the National League, the Cubs defeated the Pirates 8-4, and the Giants beat the Braves 8-4. Inside and low. Willie Mays off to another great start. Willie had 2 home runs against Milwaukee out in San Francisco. Batting star on the Chicago Cub victory was Billy Williams, who cracked a 2-run homer in the 10th inning. Long drive hit toward deep left center field by Joe Christopher out toward the wall, and this one is going gone into the seats, a home run. Christopher rounding third and heading home with the first run for the New York Mets in the new season. That was a line drive home run, whereas Sievers hit one high that carried deep. That ball went into the seats in almost the identical position as the home run hit by Sievers, but it was a line drive all the way, just high enough, and traveling into the lower left center field stand. Mets have been hitting Dennis Bennett hard. So far, they have been hitting line drives that have been caught. That one goes to the seats for a home run. Now the pitch down, Moran is over for a strike. Philadelphia in front. Down comes the pitch to Al Moran. Taken under the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Last year, Joe Christopher was with New York part of the time, and part of the time he was at Buffalo. Now the 1-1 delivery. A smash on the ground. Goes into right field. Can't be handled by Roy Sievers. Fielded now by Johnny Callison, and Moran is on with an opposite field base hit. He swung late, but he hit the ball hard and right by Roy Sievers and on into right field for a base hit. Mets now have out-hit the Phillies in the game 5-4, but they trail 4-1 as the result of 2 walks and a 3-run homer by Sievers. Now Gene Mack is on the telephone calling the bullpen of Philadelphia down in the right field corner. Johnny Clipstein will warm up for the second time. Jackson stepping in against Dennis Bennett. 2 outs and 1 man on. Pitch thrown to Jackson is a foul pop-up back towards the crowd, coming back hoping for a play, and it's no play for Dalrymple, and he had to be saved from falling into the dugout. One of the coaches, Al Widmar, coming up to the top of the dugout and rendering an assist to Dalrymple. They kept telling Dalrymple, come on, we'll protect you, we'll take care of you. Come, he did, right to the dugout, and he toppled over into the dugout, but Widmar was there to catch him. So Dalrymple is not hurt on the play, and we have a 1-strike count on Al Jackson. Here's the pitch on the way. Off the outside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. Dennis Bennett delivers to Jackson. A swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Phillies 4 runs, 4 hits. New York 1 run on 5 hits. Top half of the 4th. Fine mist has been falling throughout the game. It has really been touch and go with the weatherman so far as this opening game has been concerned. The 1-2 delivery. Fastball, 2-2. With the exception of the rain, the weather very pleasantly mild. Very comfortable night in the ballpark. Now the 2-2 delivery. A smash cross by the third baseman Allen. Boy, the Philadelphia Phillies are making the plays in the field behind Dennis Bennett. There's another streaming line drive plucked out of the air, this time by the third baseman, rookie Richie Allen. He had to reach high and make a glove hand grab. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 left on. And Dennis Bennett has been tagged hard, but over 4 innings has escaped with just 1 run. Now the score at the end of 3.5 innings, the Phillies 4 and the New York Mets 1. Well, you know, the more I think about smoking, the more I like having Viceroy on my team. More and more smokers agree because Viceroy's got the deep weave filter and the taste that's right. No wonder. Viceroy is scientifically made to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. That's why Viceroy is not too strong, like some filter brands that taste almost as if they didn't have a filter at all. And Viceroy is not too light, like others. You know the kind. You smoke more and more of them because you don't get much taste. Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. So fans, why not put the taste that's right on your team? Get Viceroy. The filter cigarette is scientifically made to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the deep weave filter and the taste that's right. We hope you'll get a carton of Viceroy. You'll like them. Clay Dalrymple leads off the last of the 4th. We'll pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
This is... Follow the Mets at the 810 spot on your dial, WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner on our engineer, Pappy Durkin, from Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. Dalrymple is up against Al Jackson, and the off-speed delivery is over for a call strike. Dalrymple, his first time up, hit a sinking liner to right field. Christopher started in, then hesitated for a moment, then came on and tried for a shoestring grab. He almost pulled it off. The ball was knocked out of his glove in the somersault. Ground foul hit in front of the first base coach, Peanuts Lowry. You had your tickets for the big opening game of Friday at Shea Stadium, New York and Pittsburgh. The gates will open at 11, and Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians will provide musical entertainment before the ball game. Jackson over the head, the 2-strike pitch. He jammed him with a fastball that's fouled off, no play. Feels that George Altman will definitely be ready to play in the opening game on Friday against the Pirates. Danny Murtaugh has announced that he'll be pitching veteran right-hander Bob Friend against New York on Friday in Shea Stadium. Casey will want those left-handed bats in the lineup. And the pitch is over, strike 3 call. Third strikeout for Al Jackson. It brings up the shortstop, Bobby Wine. Bobby drilled a base hit to right center field in the second, scoring Clay Dalrymple from second. Wine had a long single to right center, and it was a fine play in the outfield by Jim Hickman that held him to a 1-base hit. The outfield after the rain last night and today is hard to run fast on. Inside and low, 1 ball and no strikes to Bobby Wine. They say everything is fine with Bobby Wine. Little Al over the head. Down comes the left arm. Slider missing. 2 balls and no strikes. In the opening inning, 2 walks by Al Jackson when he was fighting his control. Then a 3-run homer by Roy Sievers gave the Phillies a 3-0 lead. Wine drove in the 4th run in the 2nd inning. Off-speed pitch, and it's over at the knees for a call strike. Jackson changing on him. And the count now 2 balls and a strike to Wine. The Mets have collected 5 hits in 4 innings off Bennett, and they've had no less than 4 line drives caught. A high fly hit deep to left by Bobby Wine. Thomas has room. Over near the line, he makes the catch. The ball jumped off the bat and sounded as though it might do business. Thomas had room to go over by the line in the left field corner and take it for the out. Now Dennis Bennett comes on to hit. Advanced the runner with a ground ball on the right side of the infield. He's only time up. Jackson winding, and the pitch thrown to Bennett. A swing and a miss, strike 1. Well, we hope you're enjoying tonight's game, the National League opener for the New York Mets. I know you'll enjoy Viceroy because Viceroy's got the deep weave filter and the taste that's right. Jackson siding in, winds and pitches, bounces a curveball into the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Mets will return to New York following the game tomorrow night, the second of this 2-game series. They will have Thursday off. Open the Pittsburgh series on Friday. Pitch is out of the strike zone, 2 balls and a strike. That Pirate game on Friday that opens the new stadium also inaugurates a 7-game homestand. 7 consecutive day games. 3 games with Pittsburgh, 2 with the Philadelphia Phillies, and 2 with the Chicago Cubs. Now Jackson with a 2-1 delivery, low and outside, and he goes behind the opposing pitcher, 3-1. Tonight has been a real struggle for Al Jackson because Al has been unusually wild. On the nights you have your good stuff and your good control, it's a breeze compared to that night you have to struggle for it. Now the 3-1 delivery, a swing and a miss. He had a big pitch to make, and he made it 3-2 now on Bennett. The Mets have been hitting Bennett so far in the game. If Jackson can hold them down, the Mets would feel they have quite a chance to come from behind in this game. A ground ball hits it short. Up with it is Al Moran. They play on to first is in time for the out. So a 1-2-3 inning for Al Jackson, and he may be pitching himself right into this ball game. He now has settled down to retire the last 6 men. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on. At the end of 4, the score, Philadelphia 4 and New York 1. The folks around our town, all along the Rhine-Gold beat, are humming that catchy song, Meet the Mets. It was written and recorded last season. I'm sure many of you heard it. The youngsters love to sing it. You hear it before and after every Mets broadcast and telecast, and it will be played at Shea Stadium before every home game. Well, now's your chance to get your own copy on a 45 RPM record. On one side, there is a vocal rendition of Meet the Mets, while an instrumental version is on the flip side. Fans to obtain your record of Meet the Mets and $1 to Mets official song, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. In the 5th inning, the New York Mets will have the top of their batting order coming up against Bennett. Now Gene Mack is taking no chances. He has seen Bennett hit very hard over the first 4 innings and escape miraculously. So as Bennett goes to the mound, Johnny Clipstein starts warming up in the bullpen. Here's the windup and the pitch to Smith. It's over for a call strike. Dick Smith has fouled out to first and singled to left field. 24-year-old speedster makes his home in Los Angeles, California. Now Bennett into his windup, delivers an off-speed pitch. It's outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. In 4 innings, the Mets have been held to 1 run. They've collected 5 hits. They've had 4 real hard-hit line drives caught, including one superhuman play turned in by Tony Taylor. He turned it into a double play. Inside and high, 2-1. Last year against New York, Bennett won 2 and lost 1. He has a glossy lifetime record against the Mets of 5-1. Smitty bunts the ball down the third base line. Allen tries to make a play and can't, and Smith is on. Dick Smith, who can really fly, goes down the line with a base hit. On a bunt, right down the third base line. As Allen came in and tried to make the play, he was hustling in hard and slipped and fell. Whether or not he could have made the play had he come up with the ball clean remains to be seen. It'll go as a base hit for Smith. His second. He now is 2 for 3, and the Mets have 6 in the game. Sammy Samuel is the hitter. Sammy got a base hit his last time up. Sammy has 1 hit and 2 times at bat. Now Dalrymple walking out in front of the plate to talk to Dennis Bennett. Phillies 4 and the Mets 1 were in the top half of the 5th inning. Now Roy Sievers will hold against the base runner Dick Smith. Mets trying to break through against Dennis Bennett. The pitch is taken high by Samuel. 1 ball and no strikes. Samuel, always known as a fine glove man and a versatile performer who can play at second, short, or third. Next pitch on the way. Gets the outside corner a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Now Samuel steps out of the batter's box and checks with Don Hefner. Casey has a reorganized coaching staff of solid baseball men. Wes Westrom coaching at first, Don Hefner at third. Through to first, not in time. Sheriff Robinson and Mel Harder rounding out the coaching staff, with Mel taking over the pitching staff. One ball and 1 strike now on Samuel. Ron Hunt is on deck. And he pops it up behind the plate. Dalrymple is calling for it. It's going to be very near home plate in fair territory. And Allen falls down. Dalrymple picks the ball up, throws to second, safe. Everybody's safe. Richie Allen slipped and fell just as he was set to catch the pop-up. His feet went out from under him. That ball was hit straight up. It could have been hit in a silo. And since the third baseman Allen was coming in on the ball, Dalrymple said, take it. And at the last moment, lo and behold, coming in at full speed, charging like a wild bull, Richie Allen's feet went right out from under him, and the ball landed about a foot behind his head for a base hit. Dalrymple fired to second, trying to get a play on Smith, but Smith's speed really helped him out, and after holding up at first because of the pop-up, he was able to get over there. Now, runners on first and second, nobody out. The hitter is Ron Hunt. Ron got a slow roller on a check swing through the middle for a base hit in the first, then was robbed on a great play by Tony Taylor in the 3rd inning. Ground ball hit foul. Oh, he hit that one. Ron Hunt jumping on the first pitch, and he blistered it. A foul ball just outside third. Now the Mets are throwing a real scare into the Philadelphia Phillies. Dick Smith got things started off when he punted. Allen trying to make the play, slipped on the wet grass and fell. I don't think he could have made the play anyhow. But then he had one he certainly could have made had his feet not got out from under him on the pop-up hit by Samuel. And now Gene Mack has gone to the mound. He has Johnny Clipstein warmed in his bullpen. Manager Gene Mack of the Phillies is on the mound. Frank Corey now goes out to break up the conference, and he will stay right with Dennis Bennett. Dick Smith led off with a bunt single down the third base line. Samuel hit a pop-up almost straight up over home plate. It actually landed maybe about 10 feet from the plate down the third base line. It landed on the skin part of the circle area on home plate. Ron man with one hit and 2 times up. His last time up, he really hit it. A low screamer that was taken on a hop by Taylor on a great play. Inside he lays off. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mets now have an opportunity to fight right back into this ball game. They trail 4-1. We're in the 5th inning. Now Bennett up in pitching position. Delivers to Hunt. A little bit low, just under the knees. 2 balls and a strike. This is not an official ball game as yet, and we still have the threatening weather. A fine mist has fallen throughout the ball game. Now 2 runners take a lead. Dick Smith off second. Samuel off first. Pitch thrown to Hunt. A ground ball hit down towards third. Allen steps on third for 1. He throws to first in time for the double play. Their second double play in 5 innings with Richie Allen stepping on third to erase Dick Smith and then throwing across to Roy Sievers. Samuel moving to second, and the batter is Thomas. Frank had a line drive to left center, caught on the run by rookie left fielder Danny Cater, and has grounded out second to first. So Big Frank is 0 for 2. Line drive hit hard, a base hit going to left field. Samuel is around third. He's holding up. He slips and falls. He's hung up, and he gets back to third safely when Allen drops the ball. Well, it's been a nightmarish inning in the field for rookie Richie Allen. This is a tough infield to run on. It rained all day. The infield was covered, but we've been playing in a drizzle. The kind that really saturates and soaks up and gets slippery. They had Samuel dead to right. He rounded third, and about 15 feet down the line, he fell flat on his face. He was scrambling, trying to get back to third. The throw came into Allen, and Allen dropped it. So runners on first and third, 2 men down, and Jim Hickman is up. That was a hard hit liner to left by Frank Thomas. Now Bennett off the stretch. Inside to Jim Hickman, 1 ball and no strike. The Mets have really hit Bennett hard. It's unbelievable they have only 1 run the way they have hit Bennett in this ball game. The reason they have scored only 1 run, 4 line drives that have been caught, 2 double plays. Defense, the backbone of any sport. Last year, the Phillies, a fine defensive ball club, were 3rd in the National League in fielding. Now the pitch underway. It's over for a call strike. 1-1 to Jim Hickman. Defense has been outstanding for the Phillies, except for this inning with the problems that Richie Allen has encountered trying to keep on his feet on that slippery infield grass. Hickman held up just in time. He had the bat control on a high fastball. 2 balls and a strike. Runners at the corners, first and third, 2 down, top of the 5th. The Mets trailing 4-1. Jim Hickman with good power, right-hand batter waiting. Ground ball hit down the third, a foul ball. In behind Samuel. Well, once again, Richie Allen falls down. He made the play over in foul territory and slips again. He may come out football spikes the next inning. You can imagine how much he is bearing down, this being his first. And he had such a great spring. The publicity build-up around Richie Allen was almost unbelievable. He was in 10 games for the Phillies at the end of last year, but he's starting his first year in the Major League. Had the big year in the International League and then had a great spring. Hickman lays off, and it's just inside. Real burning fastball thrown by Dennis Bennett inside. Umpire Frank Sikori getting some help from the Philadelphia fans on it, and now the string is out 3-2. Thomas on first, he'll be running. On third, Samuel. There are 2 men away. field in the outfield, deep and around toward left against Jim Hickman. Now the stretch by Bennett. Here's the pitch. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded, and Dalrymple is hopping there. Dalrymple thought he had him struck out. The bases are loaded, and Bob Taylor is coming out to hit. Well, here's Gene Mack. If he crosses the line, this will be it for Dennis Bennett, and he is across the line. Gene Mack going to the mound. Dennis Bennett is really upset. His feathers have been ruffled on the call by Frank Secori on 3 and 2. Casey is out of the dugout, just kind of taking a look to see who's down in that Philadelphia bullpen, and his veteran right-hander, John Clipstang. So this will be it for Bennett. He can neither win nor lose in the ball game. The starter has to go 5, and the hander for Bennett leading the game. Veteran right-hander, John Clipstang, is coming in from the bullpen. He comes in with the bases loaded. They are the tying runs and 2 men down. And while the pitching change is being made, Lindsay will tell you how the games came out this afternoon and the other openers.
All right, Bob, as you know, yesterday, the Houston Colt 45s met the Cincinnati Reds in the regular Cincinnati opener. The Reds open at home every year, and the Colt 45s defeated the Reds yesterday, and neither of those teams were scheduled today. This afternoon in 10 innings, the Chicago Cubs beat the Pittsburgh Pirates by a score of 8-4, and the Cubs got 4 runs in the top of the 10th to do it. Billy Williams had a 2-run homer there in the top of the 10th. The winning pitcher was Larry Jackson, who started for the Cubs, and Lindy McCandle helped him out in the 10th. Bob Beal started for the Pirates, McBean in the 8th. Roy Pace came out in the 10th and was the loser, and Tommy Fish finished up. Dick Brittell, Andre Rogers, and Billy Williams had home runs all for the Cubs. The San Francisco Giants showed the power that they are reputed to have as they defeated the Milwaukee Braves 8-4, and Warren Spahn was the loser. Hank Fisher relieved him in the 8th inning. Juan Marichal went all the way to get the win for the Giants. Willie Mays had 2 home runs in his career, numbers 407 and 408. Jim Ray Hart had a home run. Orlando Cepeda had 1, and Tom Haller had 1, all for the Giants. 5 homers for Alvin Dark's Giants this afternoon. In the American League, the Red Sox and the Yankees were scheduled at Yankee Stadium, postponed because of rain. The Orioles beat the Chicago White Sox 5-3. Stu Miller over Hoyt Wilhelm. The Detroit Tigers beat the Kansas City A's 7-3. Reagan over Pena. And the Minnesota Twins beat Cleveland 7-6. It was Perry over Walker. Los Angeles and Washington not scheduled, and here's Bob.
All right, Lindsay. Bob Taylor is the hitter. Bases loaded. Here's the pitch by Clipstang. Fastball up high. 1 ball and no strike. Johnny Clipstang had an outstanding year as the long man in the Philadelphia bullpen last season. This 36-year-old right-hander had an earned run average of less than 2 earned runs per 9 innings. His ERA was about 1.90. He had one stretch where he went about a month with only giving up 1 or 2 earned runs. Here's the windup by Clipstang, the pitch. Fastball just off the outside corner, 2 balls and no strikes. Warm-up action now for the Phillies of Gene Mack. The left-hander is Chris Short. The right-hander is Johnny Boozer. Let's have Samuel on third, Thomas on second, Hickman on first. There are 2 men away. Now Clipstang checking in with Clay Dalrymple. Here's the windup and the pitch on the way. Inside is ball 3. He has no place to put it. Al Moran is scheduled to hit next. Or rather, Joe Christopher is the on-deck hitter, and then Al Moran. Now Don Hefner, the third base coach, and a real knowledgeable and veteran baseball man, calls Bob Taylor out of the batter's box, and they get together for just a moment. Clipstang, a control pitcher, has gone behind 3-0 on Bob Taylor. Clipstang into his windup, and the 3-0 pitch. It's over a call strike, 3-1. Veterans like Clipstang can go behind a hitter 3-0, 3-1, and they still will not give up too many walks. Now Clipstang over the head, the 3-1 pitch. Line drive, a base hit up the middle for Bob Taylor. Samuel is in the score, rounding third, and digging for the plate is Frank Thomas, and it's a 4-3 ball game. Runners on first and third, a 2-run single for Bob Taylor. Taylor, and he ripped it. A hot smash right up the middle that almost nicked the second base umpire, Ed Sudol. He had to scramble to keep from being hit. Coming in to score, Sammy Samuel and Frank Thomas. Jim Hickman races it around to third. A two-run single now for Bob Taylor, and now the Mets are right back in this ball game. They now have 3 runs on 9 hits. The Phillies have 4 runs on 4 hits. They got 3 of their 4 runs on 1 swing of the bat by Roy Sievers in the opening inning. Al Jackson was wild at the start. He walked 2. With 2 men on and 1 out, Sievers then, with Jackson behind on the count, hit one into the left center field seats for a 3-run homer. Now the Mets have the tying run 90 feet away at third. They have scored 3 runs with 2 men down. Now Clipstein up in pitching position. Delivers to Christopher. Low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Joe has been up twice, hit a hard line drive caught by Gonzalez, and hit a line drive into the seats in left center field for a home run. Now Eddie Greenville is around the bat rack picking out a bat, and we may see him as a pinch hitter if the Mets stay alive here in the top half of the 5th inning. Pitch thrown by Clipstein. Breaking ball over at the knees, a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. On first with a 2-run single. Jim Hickman, representing the tying run, is on third. The 1-1 delivery. Low and outside, almost a wild pitch. That was a beautiful save by Clay Dalrymple. He went sliding on his shin guard far to his right to keep that one from going by and permitting the tying run to come in. Left-hander Chris Short and right-hander John Boozer warming up for Philadelphia. Now Clipstein, the 36-year-old right-hander from the nation's capital, has his sign. The 2-1 pitch. Fastball over, a call strike. 2-2 to Joe Christopher. Mets trailing 4-0 have now fought back into the game. They got a run on Christopher's homer in the 4th. And they have 2 runs in, both charged to the starting pitcher, Dennis Bennett, here on the top of the 5th inning. Phillies have the infield around the left for Christopher. The 2-2 pitch. Just missed inside the high, ball 3. He took something off on his fastball. Threw at about 3/4 speed, and now it's 3-2. Professor Casey Stengel, who has been in baseball for over 50 years, pacing up and down the floor of the dugout with his hands in his back pockets, watching everything. It's 3-2, and the pitch on the way is swung and missed. He's sent him out. 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors, and 2 left on. 4 hits, no errors, and 2 left on. So we've come halfway, and we've got a good one going. At the end of 4.5 innings to score, the Phillies 4 and the New York Mets 3. Last of the 5th inning, and an enthusiastic Philadelphia Philly crowd starting the chant now, hoping they can help the Phillies to get something going against Alvin Jackson. Jackson, after a shaky start in which he was wild, has settled now to retire the last 6 men. Now Jackson out of his windup. The pitch to Tony Taylor is outside and high, ball 1. Philadelphia 4 runs on 4 hits. New York 3 runs on 9 hits. We're in inning number 5. Nobody on, nobody out. The pitch to Tony Taylor is swung and missed. He went after a breaking ball, and the count even. 1 ball, 1 strike. Dennis Bennett taken out of the game by Gene Mack after 4 2/3. He neither can win nor lose. Clipstein is now the pitcher of record for Philadelphia. The 1-1 pitch on the way. A smash hit hard. Taken on the short hop by Al Moran. The peg to first, and he's got him by a wide margin. Nice pickup by Moran. That was one of those low sinking liners, and Moran had to play it on the short hop. nobody on. The hitter is the right fielder, John Callison. Callison has drawn a walk and come in on Sievers' 3-run homer and grounded out to Dick Smith. Now Jackson looking into Hawk Taylor for his sign. The Hawk came up with a real clutch hit. 2 outs, bases loaded. Clipstein just into the game, and he singled in 2 runs. Inside to the left-hand hitter, 1 ball and no strikes. Ron Hunt playing on the edge of the infield grass and wide of the bag at third against left-handed batting Johnny Callison. Moran shaded far over towards second base. Foul ball back toward the screen. No play, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Rookie Richie Allen batting third in the order is the on-deck hitter for Philadelphia. The Phillies, a team that came from dead last to 87 victories last year in a span of some 3 years. And a team that won 40 of their last 60 ball games. To John Callison. He was going to try and bunt, and the pitch almost got him. It was high and inside. He had to hit the dirt to get out of the way. He was in no position to defend himself because he had an idea about trying a drag bunt. And when you turn around trying to bunt and you have to get out of the way at the same time, you are in trouble. He just did get out of the way, and the count 2 balls and 1 strike. Next pitch on the way. A little bit high, and now Jackson's behind on Callison, 3-1. One out and nobody on. Last of the 5th inning, a 4-3 ball game. The Phils lead it. Swing and a miss on a high slider, and the count 3-2. Jackson again forced to make a big pitch on 3-1, and he gets Callison swinging. Now it's 3-2. Alvin looking in for his sign from the Hawk. Now it's 3-2 to Callison. Callison, a 300 hitter and a complete all-around ball player, runs well, and they play him to pull. Now the payoff pitch to Callison. A high pop fly down the left field line may be hard to reach. Now Thomas has plenty of time. And Frank puts it away for the second out. 2 outs and nobody on before Richie Allen comes on. We'll pause for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
This is all the Mets at the 810 spot on your dial. WGY, WGFM, Schenectady.
Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner and our engineer Pappy Durkin from Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. We've got a good one going to open the season. Phillies lead 4-3. We're in the last of the 5th inning. Richie Allen has drawn a walk and singled to left center field. Right-hand batter waiting. Sounded like he broke his bat. He hit one right off the 5th foul into the ground right by home plate. Well, the bat is all right, and a 1-strike count to Richie Allen. Now Alvin out of his windup, the pitch to Allen. Change up, a grounder hit slowly down to third. Hunt is up with it. Sidearm take across is in time, and the side is out. Al Jackson now has settled to retire 9 straight men. In the last of the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on. 5 innings complete, and the score, the Philadelphia Phillies, 4 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. The New York Mets, 3 runs, 9 hits, and no errors. So we'll be going along to the 6th inning, and also we'll be going home after the game tomorrow night for that big opening of Shea Stadium on Friday. And Lindsey will tell you all about something that will acquaint you with this year's ball club in a hurry and carry the play-by-play. Lindsey Nelson. All right.
that, Bob, of course, many Mets fans have souvenir yearbooks from the Mets' first 2 seasons, and we want to tell them about the 1964 yearbook, which will be available at Shea Stadium on Friday. This new edition, with more than 200 photos, twice as many as last year's book had, has pictures and records of all the old and new Mets. 2 pages each are devoted to George Altman, Al Jackson, Jack Fisher, Tracy Stallard, and Ron Hunt. Mike Thomas, of course, with all of his records there. Casey Stengel gets the full treatment. So if you'd like to order your copy in advance, just send 50 cents to Yearbook, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. The address again, 50 cents to Yearbook, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York. Now Al Moran's up for the Mets here in the top half of the 6th, and Johnny Clipstein's pitch is a fastball in there for a called strike. Trailing by 1 run as we go to the top half of the 6th inning at Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. Again, Clipstein with the pitch, and it's swung on and missed, and Al Moran drops the bat. Clay Dalrymple picks it up and tosses it back up to him. It's a 2-strike count to Moran. 5 innings totals for the Phillies. 4 runs, only 4 hits and no errors. For the Mets, 3 runs, 9 hits, and no errors. Clipstein looking in to get a sign from Clay Dalrymple. Dips into the windup. Here's the 2-strike delivery. It is in there for a call, strike 3. So Moran is a strikeout victim. That is the 2nd strikeout for Clipstein. Dennis Bennett did not strike out anybody in the 4 2/3 innings that he worked. That will bring up Al Jackson. Al has been up twice. He fouled out to left field and lined out to third base. Richie Allen made a leaping catch of Jackson's line drive in the top half of the 4th inning. Jackson is a left-hand batter with good speed, likes to dump the ball occasionally and drag it. Richie Allen is in on the edge of the grass at third base. And here's the pitch, fastball in there for a called strike. Opening night of the National League season for the Phillies and the Mets. Again, Johnny Clipstein with the windup in the pitch, and it's swung on. It's a ground ball to first base. Taken by Sievers. He waves Clipstein off and jogs to the bag in time. 2 men out and nobody on base. That'll bring up the Met leadoff man, Dick Smith. The Mets scored 2 runs after 2 were out in the top half of the 5th inning. Dennis Bennett, the starter for the Phillies, pitched 4 2/3 innings, in which he gave up 3 runs on 8 hits. He struck out none and he walked 3. He cannot be the winning pitcher because you must go 5 innings in order to be credited with a win, and he only went 4 2/3. That was one of the reasons that he departed so reluctantly. He wanted to stay in there at least and try to get out of that inning so that he could possibly be winning pitcher. Pitch is low for ball. Of course, he cannot be the losing pitcher either. Dick Smith has fouled out to first base, singled to left, and fronted his way on. So he's 2 for 3 tonight. Again, Clipstein with a pitch to the right-hand batter, and it's a fastball in there for a called strike, 1-1. Again, Clipstein looks for his sign. Allen plays even with the bag at third against the speed of Dick Smith. That's a breaking ball low, and it's 2-1. It rained most of the day here in Philadelphia, and right on up until about an hour before game time when it stopped. And then in about the 2nd inning, a fine mist began to fall again, and we've had quite a bit of that during the course of the game. It doesn't seem to be falling right now. Clipstein with a 2-1 pitch. And it's a fastball high and away, 3-1. The Phillies leading by 1 scant run, 4-3. Dick Smith swings it out as he waits. Clipstein now into the big pitching motion. And here's the 3-1 delivery. It is in there for a called strike. It's 3-2. Smith bluffed his way 1 step down toward first before Sikori called it strike 2. So the count is full at 3-2 with 2 men out and nobody on base. Samuel is waiting on deck. Here's a payoff pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Strikeout number 3 for Tripstein. Tripstein got 2 strikeouts in that inning as he set the Mets down in order. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. Score at the end of 5 1/2 innings of play is the Phillies 4 and the Mets 3. In the bottom half of the 6th inning, it is Roy Sievers up to lead off for the Philadelphia Phillies. Al Jackson, the starter, still in there for the New York Mets. It was Sievers' big bat that delivered a 3-run homer in the bottom half of the 1st inning and got the Phils off to an early lead in this ball game. Jackson now with a pitch to the right-hand batter. Breaking ball, it's in there for a called strike. Roy Sievers is 37 years of age. One of the few men active in baseball today who can say that he once played with the St. Louis Browns. Sievers again waits, has that big fat cock, motionless. Here's the pitch, swung on and missed. 2 strikes. He went for the fastball that time. Sievers came to the Phils from the Chicago White Sox. He came to the White Sox from the Washington Senators. One of the big men in that trade was Earl Fatty, who went from the White Sox organization to the Senators, who then became the Minnesota Twins, and Fatty's been a big star ever since. Here's the pitch in there for a call, strike 3. A breaking ball, and Sievers argues the point for a moment with Frank Securi and then retreats to the dugout. For Al Jackson, it is his 4th strikeout. That brings up Tony Gonzalez. Hit by a pitch ball in the 1st inning. Struck out in the 3rd. Al Jackson has now retired 10 consecutive batters, going back to the leadoff single by Richie Allen in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Jackson starts the smooth windup. The pitch to the left-hand batter, and it's low for a ball. They could just fill the knees. Good opening night crowd here at Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. A venerable structure that has seen many Major League Baseball games. Again, Jackson starts the motion, and here's the pitch. Swung on, it's a comeback. Right to Jackson. Leisurely, he takes the full pivot, takes on to Smith in time. 2 away. That'll bring up rookie Danny Cater. Danny Cater starting in left field tonight for the Philadelphia Phillies on opening night, and that's quite an accomplishment for him because when he went to the Philly training camp in Clearwater, Florida at the start of the spring, he was not on the roster. He was on the Little Rock roster, but he had a great spring, found himself in left field tonight in place of Wes Covington against the left-hander, Al Jackson. So far tonight, Cater's hit into a double play, and he's grounded out short to first. He's a right-hand batter. Jackson's pitch is in there for a called strike. The Phillies are leading the Mets by a score of 4-3. And for all you Met fans all around metropolitan New York and the state of New York, in case you don't know it, this baseball season has begun. It's Let's Go Mets time once again. Changes at the ground ball. Hits the 3rd, and Ron Hunt has it. He comes over in time for the out. Jackson gets him out in order for the 3rd consecutive inning. And the Phils go with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left. And at the end of 6, it is the Phillies 4 and the Mets 3. Well, you know, we really enjoy bringing the Mets games to you. And we like talking about Viceroy, too, because there's nothing easier than telling folks about something you enjoy yourself. And I'm telling you, I enjoy Viceroy. Viceroy's really got the taste that's right. You know why? Because Viceroy is scientifically made to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong like some brands that taste as if they didn't have a filter at all. And not too light. You know the kind. You smoke twice as many and you get about half as much taste. Now Viceroy's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the deep weave filter and the taste that's right. Next time, pick up a pack, or better still, get a carton of Viceroy. Take it from me, you'll like them. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. In the top of the 7th, the Mets will be sending up Sammy Samuel, Ron Hunt and Frank Thomas. Johnny Clipstein is the pitcher. He's a right-hander on the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies. Through 6 innings, the Phillies have 4 runs on 4 hits. The Mets have 3 runs on 9 hits. Samuel is a right-hand batter. He is 2 for 3 tonight. Clipstein with the pitch. Swung on, hit in the air to right field. Callison drifts back. He's there. He has time and room, and he makes the catch. Samuel is flat out to right. There's one down, and Ron Hunt is coming up. Ron Hunt delivered the first base hit of the season for the New York Mets. It was a ground single up the middle in the top half of the first inning. Since then, he has twice hit into double plays. Tomorrow night, we'll be right back here at Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. We'll be on the air at 8 p.m. New York time. Bring you the second meeting of the Phils and the Mets. Tomorrow night, Tracy Stallard is scheduled to be the Met pitcher. Jim Bunning is scheduled to go for the Philadelphia Phillies. Swing and a foul ball, back and out of play. Well, it's good to get the National League Baseball season underway once again. Actually, the off-season passed rather quickly as far as we were concerned. It was the 1st of October, and the season was over, and suddenly it was late February and time to go to Florida with the Mets. Here's the pitch to Ron Hunt. Swung on, and it's hit into right field for a base hit. Johnny Callison overscoops it up and overruns it. Now, holding on at first is Ron Hunt. As he took a turn and started to go, as Callison retreated about 3 steps and recovered. No error on the play, of course. No extra base taken. It is a single to right, and Hunt's 2 for 4 tonight. Hit number 10 for the Mets off the combined efforts of Dennis Bennett and Johnny Clipstein. It is a second hit off Clipstein. Frank Thomas is coming up now. Ron Hunt on at first, representing potential tying run with 1 man out. Hunt calls time, leaves the base to go over to talk to first base coach Wes Westrom. Apparently there's some little problem with the signs, and he wants to be absolutely sure he knows what is wanted here. Frank Thomas, meanwhile, is staying right in the batter's box. Johnny Clipstein moves now to work off the stretch. Gets the time from Clay Dalrymple. Up and set. Hunt takes his lead. Here's the pitch. Swung on and lined to the left field for a base hit. Danny Kater comes over, scoops it up, holding it second as Hunt, and Thomas is on his first with a line shot into left. Thomas is 2 for 4 tonight. That's going to bring up Jim Hickman. Jim has been up 3 times. One time he walked, but managed to. Casey Stengel is calling him back, and Jesse Gonder's moving around in the dugout now. Jesse Gonder's going to bat for Jim Hickman. Gonder over now at the bat rack. Casey Stengel going to his left-hand batters now against right-hander Johnny Clipstein, with runners at first and second and 1 man out. Sammy Samuel opened up this inning with a high fly ball to right field to Callison. Then Ron Hunt ripped a line shot to right field for a base hit. Frank Thomas ripped a line shot to left field for a base hit. Gonder's still getting his bat selected at the bat rack. Hickman has already gone back into the dugout. Now Gonder comes out swinging the bat. To bat for Jim Hickman. The announcement made now, Jesse Gonder, and double barrel action in the bullpen of the Phils. Number 29 up down there, and that's right-hander John Boozer. Number 41 up down there, and that's left-hander Chris Short. Going in the bullpen of the Phils. And that's trying to get this ball game either tied up or trying to go ahead here on the top half of the 7th inning. Runners on first and second, 1 man out. Gonder now gets rid of one of the bats he's been swinging, and he steps in. Well, the Philadelphia Phillies have shown some great defense here tonight, because that ball off the bat of Jesse Gonder was tagged from far away places, and Cato went over to his left and back, left his feet, extended the glove up into the air, and came down with that ball. Runners had held up. There are 2 men out, still 2 on, and Hawk Taylor's coming up. Taylor had a 2-run single in the top half of the 5th inning, and he was off Johnny Clipstein. Here's the pitch. And it's a fastball in there for a called strike. Again, Clifton looks in for the sign. Hunt leads at second, Thomas at first. Mets have had 11 hits in this ballgame so far, but they've scored only 3 runs. Here's a pitch, and it's a ground ball to third, right at the bag, taken by Allen. He sits on the bag, and the side is retired. So the Mets made a bid, but did not score, and in the top of the 7th. The hand you hear is for Danny Kader coming in, the great catch he made. In the top of the 7th, the Mets got no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left, and the score at the end of 6.5 is the Phillies 4 and the Mets 3. Going to the bottom of the 7th now, and Rod Conneal is playing center field for the Mets. Jim Hickman was removed for the bench hitter, Jesse Gonder, and so Rod Conneal goes into center field with bat in Hickman's place in the batting order. Al Jackson, who started, is still in the ball game for the New York Mets on the mound, and left-hand batter Clay Dalrymple, the catcher, is coming up for the fill. He has singled, and he's been called out on strike. The Phillies lead by a score of 4-3. The pitch in there for a called strike as Jackson took a lot off of that one and eased it in there. Larry Bernard is up and throwing in the Met bullpen. And now Jackson's pitch, and it's hit on the ground to third, taken on the edge of the grass by Hunt, tied on to first to Dick Smith in time, and there's one away. That'll bring up the Philly shortstop, Bobby Wine. Bauda is throwing down there now with Larry Bernard. Ed Bauda and Larry Bernard, both right-handers, throwing in the Met bullpen. We're in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Bobby Wine is 1 for 2 tonight. Al Jackson into the motion, and the pitch is hit deep to left, but curving on over, and it's a foul ball. A foul ball hit right down the line by Bobby Wine. Of the ball game, of course, so far. The 3-run homer by Roy Sievers in the bottom half of the 1st that staked the Phillies to an early lead. Callison had walked, Allen had walked, and Sievers hit the ball over the fence and left into the lower deck for a 3-run homer. The Phillies lead 4-3 now. Here's a pitch to Wine. Outside, popped out of the glove of Hawk Taylor. He recovered. The Phillies have made some great defensive plays, and for that reason they lead in the ballgame. The Mets have out-hit the Phillies 11-4. Here's a swing and a high fly ball to deep left. Conneal moves over. He's there, and it is taken by Thomas in front of him as he fell off at the last moment to back Thomas up. And Thomas made the catch. Sure way. Johnny Clifton's going to bat for himself. Taylor's gone out now to have a word with Al Jackson at the mound. The New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies battling here on opening night in Philadelphia. Friday afternoon, it'll be the Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates opening day at Shea Stadium. We spent a good party yesterday afternoon at Shea Stadium. What a ballpark that is. Now Al Jackson with the pitch to the right-hand batter, and it's high and away for a ball. 2 men out, nobody on base for the Phillies in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Wind blowing out toward the left here tonight at County Mack Stadium. Jackson's pitch, and the check swing taken for ball 2, and Hawk Taylor mentioned past the core that he just might have been all the way around on the swing, but it's 2-0. Now Jackson with a 2-0 delivery to the pitcher. That's in there for a called strike. It's 2-1. Mets open up with an infield tonight of Dick Smith at first, Sammy Samuel at second, Al Moran at short, and Ron Hunt at third. Against right-hander. Be a different first baseman. Here's a swing and a foul ball off and out of play. It's 2-2. Either Harkness or Craneville will be in the lineup at first base for the Mets tomorrow night. And right-hander Jim Bunning will be going for the Phillies. Jackson looks for the sign. And the 2-2 pitch to Clipstein. Swung on and it's fouled off to the right side out of play. Count holds 2-2. We're in the bottom half of the seventh inning. The Phillies leading the Mets by a score of 4-3. Years of their existence, the Mets opened against the St. Louis Cardinals. The first year in St. Louis, last year at the Polo Grounds. The pitch is low for a ball. The Cardinals won both of the previous openers, and the losing pitcher in each case was Roger Craig, who now is pitching for the Cardinals. Cardinals are opening tonight in Los Angeles. That game not yet underway at Dodger Stadium. Now here's a payoff pitch. Swung out and missed. Struck him out. The side is retired in order again by Al Jackson as he posts his fifth strikeout there. Bottom of the seventh, the Phillies got no runs, no hits, no errors, none left. The score at the end of 7 is the Phillies 4 and the Mets 3. Well, as you know, the Houston Colt 45s yesterday defeated the Cincinnati Reds, and the Cincinnati home opener. Cincinnati opens at home every year, having had the first professional baseball team. That's a privilege accorded them. This afternoon in 10 innings, the Cubs beat the Pittsburgh Pirates 8-4. Larry Jackson was the winner. Roy faced the loser in relief. Cubs got 4 runs in the top of the 10th to win it. It was a 2-run homer by Billy Williams that aided the cause. Dick Bertel and Andre Rogers also homered for the Cubs. The Giants unleashed a whole gang of power in defeating the Milwaukee Braves 8-4. Warren Spahn, the loser, Juan Marichal all the way to get the win. Willie Mays hit 2 home runs, numbers 407 and 408 in his career. Jim Ray Hart homered. He's the rookie third baseman of Orlando Cepeda homered, and so did catcher Tom Haller. The American League, the Yankees and the Red Sox postponed because of rain in New York. The Orioles of Baltimore defeated the Chicago White Sox 5-3. Stu Miller, the winner, in relief. Hoyt Wilhelm, the loser, in relief. Orsino, Gaines, and Boog Powell homered for Baltimore. The Detroit Tigers beat the Kansas City A's 7-3. Reagan, the winner. Pena, the loser. Gentile, Jimenez, Cash, and Bruton homered. Minnesota Twins defeated Cleveland 7-6. Terry, the winner. Walker, the loser. Batty, Held, and Wagner homered in the ballgame. The Angels in Washington not scheduled. The Angels shut out Washington yesterday. We're going to the 8th inning, and the Mets are sending up a pinch hitter, and coming in to tell you all about that, here is Ralph Kiner.
Okay, Lindsay, the pinch hitter for the Mets will be Eddie Greenpool, batting for the first time this year, and a left-handed batter, batting in place of Joe Christopher. Christopher had homered in 3 appearances. How about the right-hander on the mound, John Clipstein? Manager Casey Stengel has gone to the left-hand side. After Greenpool, Al Moran is scheduled up, and then Al Jackson. Mets have 2 pitchers throwing in the bullpen in case they want to go to a pinch hitter. For Al Jackson. First pitch to Greenpool, taken in there, strike call. Greenpool was hampered throughout spring training with leg injuries, but in the few appearances he did make, he hit the ball very well. 4-3 game, the Phillies lead. We're in the top of the 8th. Now Clipstein back again, and he misses, catches with a curve. Strike 2, right at the knee. 2 quick strikes by Johnny Clipstein, who relieved Dennis Bennett. Bennett going out of the game with 4 2/3 innings in, so he cannot get credit for the victory if the score stays as it is. And the next pitch to Greenpool is taken low. It's ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitcher has to pitch as a starting pitcher a total of 5 innings to get credit for victory. Now Clipstein at 1-2, back to Greenpool. And it's inside, ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
with a sign into the windup and the pitch. Foul ball hit out of play. That holds the count at 2-2. Epstein's still very fast. He's got one of those real good arms. He came in fast, and he is still fast. John is 36 years of age. He started playing ball back in 1944. Next pitch, fouled down the dirt. So that keeps the count at 2-2. First year in the majors was 1950, so this is his 14th season coming up. He was used as a long man last year with Jack Ballstrom, the short reliever. And he was a big help to manager Gene Mack. Now, once again, here's the 2-2 delivery. And there's a hard ground ball down to Tony Taylor. He comes up with it. Goes to first base for the out. This has been a frustrating night for the Mets. They have hit the ball well all night long. They have a total of 11 hits to go with their 3 runs. And they have been robbed of many other hits. It's going to be Tim Harkness now coming in to bat for Al Moran. Tim, a left-hand batter, and a first baseman on the clock. Top of the 8th inning. Mets need 1 to tie. Harkness deep in the batter's box. Al Jackson coming in the on-deck circle. And the first pitch, a fastball on the outside corner. Strike 1. On-strike count as Pipstein goes into the windup. And the pitch. Inside, it drives him away. Ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Clay Dalrymple, the catcher. He gives the sign, and the pitch is taken in there. Fastball again. Strike 2. Had a great opportunity to score in the 7th, but outfielder Danny Cater robbed pinch hitter Jesse Gonder of an extra base hit and robbed the Mets of at least 1 run. It was a great catch. And a play by Tony Taylor was sensational at second base to stop a run. Curveball looked at, called, strike 3. And while we wait for Al Jackson to come to bat, we'll pause now for station identification. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
810 on your dial, WGY, WGFM, Schenectady, the voice of the Mets in the great Northeast.
Ralph Kiner, along with Lindsey Nelson and Bob Murphy from Philadelphia, with the first game of the 1964 season. One of 162 to come your way this year. And now Al Jackson steps in the batter's box. Batting for the 4th time, being left in the ball game and being given a chance to at least come up with a win. Al, if he went out now, would have no chance to pick up a win. And the first pitch to him is popped up in the infield, calling for it to shortstop Bob Wine. And he makes the catch, and that retires the side. In the inning, no runs, no hits, no errors. No one left on base. The perfect inning for Johnny Pipstein. And the score at the end of 7.5 innings, the Phillies 4, the Mets 3. Well, as Lindsey told you, we all got a look at runs, no hits, no errors. No one left on base. The perfect inning for Johnny Pipstein. And the score at the end of 7.5 innings, the Phillies 4, the Mets 3. Well, as Lindsey told you, we all got a look at the Mets' spectacular new baseball park. And what a stadium it is. Shea Stadium, where, well, everything is pretty impressive. But the most impressive piece of equipment is the big Rheingold scoreboard. On it, well, you not only see the score, of course, exactly where the game stands, What a picture of the batter and where he stands, his average at the moment. And on this scoreboard, there's another reminder. Yes, it says Rheingold is as good to your taste as it is to your thirst. And isn't that exactly what you want a beer to be? The secret of Rheingold is a very special way of brewing. Rheingold is brewed extra dry, smoother, crisper, livelier. Hope you got some Rheingold around right this minute, wherever you are along the Rheingold beat. If you do, well, I don't have to tell you that Rheingold is as good to your taste as it is to your thirst. Rheingold after Rheingold. Well, the two pinch hitters in the ball game in the last inning being left in. Eddie Kranepool has gone into right field. And, of course, he will bat in Joe Christopher's spot, the man he pinch hit for. Tim Harkness has gone to first base. He will bat in the shortstop position. Sam Samuel has moved to short from second and going in Al Moran's position in the batting order, and playing second base is Larry Burright. Defensive changes for the Mets, and now the Phillies come to bat here in the bottom half of the eighth. On the mound, Al Jackson going in the eighth inning. He so far in 7 innings has given up 4 runs, allowed a total of only 4 hits, struck out 5 batters, and walked 2. He'll be working to the top of the batting order. Tony Taylor, and then John Callison and Richie Allen. Taylor is 0 for 3 in the game. First pitch to Taylor is fouled off, strike 1. I'll have to make a change here. Burright will bat in Smith's spot, the leadoff batter in the batting order, as Dick has gone out of the ball game, and he is the only man to actually leave the game. And Larry Burright will bat in his position. One strike count to Tony Taylor, right-hand batter. And he bounces the next ball down to Burright. Burright comes up with it, goes to first in time for the out. So the very first play, as Burright goes in the game, goes to him, and the Mets have 1 out here in the bottom of the 8th. The score 4-3 in favor of the Phillies, and the batter will be right fielder Johnny Callison. Johnny is 0 for 2 in this game. Now with the sign. Here's the windup and the pitch to the left-hand batter. Outside, a slider, ball 1. Callison walked in the first inning, and Richie Allen, the on-deck batter, also walked and scored ahead of Roy Sievers' home run. That was the big ball in the ball game. The Phillies took the lead 3-0, added 1 more in the second. Callison looks again, it's ball 2. Jackson has been pitching Callison very carefully, and consequently, he has been pitching behind him all the time. Always behind in the ball strike count. He's got Callison to ground out and fly out in his 2 appearances outside of the walk. Now the 2-0 delivery. Hit down in front of home plate. A tough chance for Taylor. He comes up with it, falls down, throws wide. As Taylor was throwing the ball to first base, he slid on the slippery turf, and his throw went wide. It was backed up by Burright. We'll see how it scored. It was a very difficult chance. He might have got his man if he had been able to stand up. It's going to be scored a base hit. But in slipping, it threw him offline, and he couldn't make the throw to the first baseman, Tim Harkness. Al Jackson had retired 16 consecutive batters before the little top hit by Johnny Callison. Jackson sent it off slowly and then worked the 7th, 6th, 5th, and 4th in order. And he had 3 in a row in the 3rd after a base hit by Richie Allen. Now with a runner at first base and 1 out, the batter is Richie Allen, the last man to get a base hit. Right-hand batting third baseman. And he takes low, ball 1. Ruben Amaro now going down to the bullpen for the Philadelphia Phillies. He's a utility infielder. So he's with a base hit now have a total of 5 to go with their 4 runs. The Mets about hit the Phillies over 2-1. They have 11 base hits with their 3 runs. Jackson at 1-0. And it's low again, ball 2. Ball dropped by Bob Taylor, but kept in front of the plate, and Callison, the good base runner, held at first base. Two balls, no strikes, and once again, Jackson behind the hitter. Allen has 1 hit and 2 times up. He also has walked and scored a run. Change of pace popped up in foul territory. Tough chance. It's going to go out of play. Jim Harkness started to go for it, then decided it had no chance of staying on the field. He let it go. That runs the count to 2 balls, 1 strike. In the set position, a look at first and back to the plate. A hard smash fair down the line. It might go for extra bases. Coming around the third base is Johnny Callison. He's going to try to score. Here goes the play. Here's the throw. It is not in time. Moving over to third base now, and the ball getting away as the throw goes to Ron Hunt is Richie Allen, and Allen is safe at third. Ball picked up by Larry Burright, who was backing the play up there, and so Allen had to hold at third base. That'll go as a double, and the throw coming in from Al Moran was high, and it got off the glove of Bob Taylor and bounced away, and that allowed Richie Allen, who had gone to second base on the double, to move on over to third. The throw going down the third base went on through Ron Hunt, but hit Allen and bounced in close where Larry Burright could pick it up and keep the ball in play. And now manager Casey Stengel is coming out to the mound. Casey Stengel coming to the mound, and he's going to make a pitching change. It's going to be Larry Bernard coming in the ball game to make his first official appearance this year. Joe Jackson officially gets credit for 7 1/3 innings. He has so far allowed 5 runs, giving up a total of 6 hits. He struck out 5 and walked 2. On that last play is a 2-base hit for Bernie Allen, a run batted in, and an error given to Samuel on the overthrow of the catcher, allowing Allen to get to third. So Ricky Allen is on at third base as a result of a 2-base hit and an error. That is the first error in the ball game. And Larry Bernard now takes his warm-up pitches. Covington, who is coming up to be a pitch hitter for Roy Sievers. Rheingold after Rheingold. Know why that's so easy to repeat? Because Rheingold is as good to your taste as it is to your thirst. Pour glass and see. Covington coming in to pinch hit for Roy Sievers, and it was Roy Sievers' 3-run home run that gave the Phillies their lead in the ball game in the first inning. They added 1 more in the second, and it stood 4-3 as the Mets scored 1 in the fourth and 2 in the fifth, right here to the bottom half of the 8th inning. Now with 1 out, it's Larry Bernard called on to help put out the fire. Phillies have Allen at third base with one out. The infield has been pulled in, and Wes Covington steps in. Bernard last year set a record for appearances by any Met pitcher. He appeared in 58 games, 56 of them as a relief man. And his first pitch to Covington. Bounce back to the mound. The runner will have to hold at third, and the throw goes to first in time. So Larry Bernard gets Wes Covington for out number 2. Allen had no chance to score from third base, and now the batter will be Tony Gonzalez, left-hand batting center fielder. Is 0 for 2 in this game. He has been hit by a pitch ball. He struck out against Al Jackson and bounced back to the mound. Infield dropped back with 2 men out. And the first pitch is bounced down toward first base. Bernard comes over, picks it up, tags his man as he goes on by, and that retires aside. So on 2 pitches with a runner on third and 1 out, Larry Bernard gets both men out. And in the inning for the Phillies, they score 1 run on 2 hits. There was 1 error, and 1 man was left on base. A very good job by Larry Bernard as he came on to relieve Al Jackson. And the score now at the end of 8 innings, the Phillies 5, the New York Mets 3. Well, don't forget that you still have a chance to get your tickets for the very first game at Shea Stadium ever. And of course, already, just about everybody I've talked to wants to be a part of this history-making event. And some of the top people in show business will be there. Paul Newman is coming, Barry Como, Bill Silvers, Horace McMahon, Johnny Carson, Steve Lawrence, Edie Gourmet, his wife, and Van Heflin, many, many others. And they'll all be in the celebrity boxes there. Don't forget, the gates open at 11 a.m. and the ceremonies before the game start at 1:30. That's opening day this Friday, and we're looking forward to having you out there with us. Well, it's the 9th inning, the biggest inning of baseball, and here to bring you the play-by-play as the Mets come to bat here in the 9th is Lindsey Nelson once again.
All right, Ralph, and Possum Burright is due up to lead off, but John Stevenson is at the bat rack in the Mets dugout. The rookie catcher and outfielder is a left-hand batter, and he pauses now as manager Casey Stengel says a word to him. So John Stevenson is going to bat for Larry Burright to open up the top half of the 9th inning. The Mets 2 runs down through 8 innings of play. The Phillies have 5 runs on 6 hits, no errors. The Mets have 3 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. Stevenson has done him out now as batting for Burright. At first base for the Philadelphia Phillies, Ruben Amaro is on the ballgame now in place of Roy Sievers, who was removed for bench hitter Wes Covington. Ruben Amaro is playing first base. John Stevenson coming up for his very first time in the major league. Steps into the batter's box. Last year, he played at Auburn in the New York 10 League. That was his first year in baseball. Here's a swing and a ground ball that is taken deep by Amaro, and he throws on to Clifton, covering inside for the out. That ball was ripped right across the bag, a fair ball, and Amaro went over, and feeling it, he skidded right down on the seat of his pants. Managed to twist and throw to Johnny Clifton at the bag just in time to get Stevenson. There's 1 away on the top of the 9th. That will bring up Sammy Samuel, who will be batting for himself here in the top half of the 9th inning. Well, the Philadelphia Phillies have turned in some great glove work tonight. That has been the difference in this ballgame because the Mets have out-hit the Phils 11-6. But the Phillies lead by a score of 5-3. It was a 3-run homer by Roy Sievers that got the Phils off to an early lead in the ballgame. Double-barrel action now in the Philly bullpen here in the top half of the ninth. Chris Short and Johnny Boozer are throwing. The pitch to Samuel is in there for a called strike. Johnny Clipstein trying to chalk up a victory to his own personal credit here. That Dennis Bennett, the starter, did not stay in long enough to get the win, as Ralph kind of pointed out. So Clipstein trying to set the Mets down here at the top of the ninth and get the win for himself. He deals to Samuel, and the pitch is a breaking ball off the outside corner. It's 1-1. And that heavy mist is moving in again here at Connie Mack Stadium, although we have had no interruption since the start of this ball game at 8:05 p.m. We've had mist frequently, but no interruption. Here's a check swing foul ball. Just into the stand, back a first out of play. Count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now to Samuel. Samuel is 2 for 4 tonight. Thomas is 2 for 4. Dick Smith was 2 for 4. A considerable improvement on the Mets showing on opening day last year when they were shut out by Ernie Broly of the Cardinals and got only 2 hits, and Burritt got both of those. That was at the Polo Grounds opening day last year. That pitch is inside for a ball. 2-2 now to Samuel. The 2-2 delivery. Swung on it to foul ball to the right side, back at first base. It's going out of play. Ruben Amaro gave it a run over, but gave up. At the conclusion of this game, of course, they'll get that tarp down on the infield area just a moment this game ends. Start getting the field in shape for tomorrow night's game. We'll be on the air at 8 p.m. New York time tomorrow night. The Mets and the Phillies right here at Connie Mack Stadium. Pitch swung on. It's a ground ball to Richie Allen. He takes it at third. Straightens up, wings over to first in time, and there's 2 away. And so the Met hopes in the opener of the 1964 season ride now with young Ron Hunt, who got the first Met base hit of this season, a single to center in the top half of the first. He also singled to right in the 7th. He is 2 for 4 here tonight. The Phils lead 5-3. This has been the most closely contested opener the Mets have yet to participate in their 3rd season of existence. And only some great fielding plays by the Phils have kept them in the lead in this ball game. Straightaway, Johnny Clipstein into the windup. The pitch, and it's a fastball in there for a called strike. Well, you can see the picture of the Philly bullpen. They have Clipstein in there, and he's turned in a fine performance. They have Chris Short and Johnny Boozer working in the bullpen right now. Incidentally, the Phils placed Cal McLeish on the disabled list. Did that today. That arm trouble just hasn't come around for him. Here's the pitch, and it's outside for a ball. It's 1-1. They're counting on big things from Dennis Bennett, Art Mahaffey, Jim Bunning. There are a great many baseball experts, baseball writers in the business of predicting who think the Phillies are going to win the pennant. Here's a swing and a foul ball back at first. Amaro might have a play. He's going to the barrier, leans over, can't get to it. It's in the stand. So it's 1-2 to Ron Hunt as he keeps the Met hopes alive. Frank Thomas swinging a bat on deck. Frank was out for 9 days with tendonitis, came to New York for special treatment. Came here to Philadelphia today with the team, was stuck in the lineup, and has had 2 base hits. Ripped 2 singles into left field tonight. Clipstein looks for the sign. Starts the motion for the 1-2 pitch to Ron Hunt. Swung on, it's a little number. Right back to Clipstein. He straightens up and he plays out to Amaro. The game is over. Clipstein sets the Mets down in order on the top of the ninth. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left. the Philadelphia Phillies have taken the opener from the New York Mets by a score of 5-3 here at Johnny Mack Stadium in Philadelphia. We'll be back in a moment with the final summary and totals. Right now, once again, the final score, the Phils 5, the Mets 3. Well, you know, a really smart hitter tries to look over pitches till he gets the one that's right for him. And the same thing goes for filter cigarettes. Look them all over and you'll hit on Viceroy. Because Viceroy is scientifically made to taste the way you'd like a filter cigarette to taste. Not too strong, like some filter brands that taste almost as if they didn't have a filter at all, and not too light, like others. You know the kind. You smoke more and more of them because you don't get much taste. But Viceroy, now that's a different story. Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the deep weave filter and the taste that's right. So fans, if you haven't already tried Viceroy, the time to do it is the very next time you buy a cigarette. Pick up that pack of Viceroy and see if you don't agree. Viceroy is not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Here at Connie Mack Stadium in Philadelphia, the Phils have won the opener from the Mets 5-3, and to tell you something of how they did it, here's Ralph Kiner.
Well, if tonight's game is going to be an indication of what kind of a season 1964 is going to be for the National League, you don't have any further part to go to find a game like this to watch. This was one of the most exciting ball games that you could see, with great fielding by both sides. The Phillies turned in 3 plays that were almost unbelievable. Tony Taylor turned in the play on Ron Hunt that was turned into a double play that was labeled base hit all the way, and that turned away the Mets from scoring a run in that inning. Later on, the left fielder, Danny Cater, made a great play, a running catch on an extra base hit by Frank Thomas, by Jesse Garner to steal at least 1 run, maybe 2 from the Mets. And then in the 9th inning, John Stevenson making his first at-bat for the Mets in the major leagues, hit one over the bag at first base, and Ruben Amaro, who had gone in the game in place of Roy Sievers, made an unbelievable play to keep it from going for 2 bases. For the Phillies, they scored 3 runs in the first inning on 2 walks and a 3-run home run by Roy Sievers, his 311th home run in his major league career. They added 1 more run in the second on singles by Clay Dalrymple and Bob Wine. Wine single coming after Dalrymple was wild pitched to second base, and that gave the Phillies a 4-0 lead. The Mets scored their first run of the ball game in the 4th on a home run by Joe Christopher. They added 2 more in the 5th, and that made the score 4-3 in favor of Philadelphia. The Phillies added 1 more insurance run in the 8th inning, scoring the run off Al Jackson on singles by Johnny Callison, a double by Richie Allen. And that's the way it stood. The Philadelphia Phillies 5 runs, 6 hits. They made no errors and left 3 men on. The Mets had 3 runs, 11 hits, made 1 error, and left 9 men on base. The winning pitcher was John Klipstein. His record 1-0. The losing pitcher was Al Jackson. Al went 7 1/3 innings, gave up 5 runs. He allowed 6 base hits, and he struck out 5 while walking 2. Larry Bernard came in to relieve him in the 8th inning with a runner at third base and 1 man out. And on 2 pitches later, Bernard was on his way to the dugout with a fine relief job. His first appearance of the year. So the final score of the ball game, the Phillies 5, the Mets 3, and that wraps up the very first New York Mets game of the 1964 season.